This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, I'm Becky Smith. I am a consultant with economic change, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience as an internal admin, Salesforce admin for a charity, and why I think that consultancy skills, so for example, project management skills, business analysis skills, change management skills are relevant to internal admins. So my experience was I was the accidental admin for a small charity based in East Sussex. So I was responsible for the management of the system, for day-to-day troubleshooting and supporting users, for training, for data management, all the kinds of things that admins are often responsible for, as part of a portfolio of other responsibilities that I had. So I'm sure that will sound familiar to many of you. My experience of using some of the consultancy skills that are now available through the Supermums course, we had an experience where we were running the system successfully. The system had been built to accommodate the programs and the relevant impact measurement that we needed for the work that we were doing when the system was first built. And of course, in charities, things change. So we won a very large contract for a new piece of work that meant that we were going to be working in a slightly different way. It was actually going to change the shape of the organization because we were taking on a number of new members of staff. We were going to have to develop new business rules and new business practices. So it was my job to make sure that our Salesforce system was fit for purpose for this new, to accommodate this new program and the requirements of that. And of course, that was very important because I could see that there was a risk that if the new program came on board and the Salesforce system didn't quite have all of the functionality necessary for the information and data requirements of that new program, so that's like new reporting requirements, different types of contacts that we were going to be working with, different sorts of information that we needed to gather and maintain about those contacts, then there was a risk that the staff that were working on that program, and the new staff in particular, would end up wanting to keep their contact information and program information separately outside of Salesforce on a series of spreadsheets that they could design to do what they needed. So what I wanted to do was make sure that the system could be changed, and this meant adding fields to certain objects, creating new objects, the kind of things that as an admin you're all familiar with. Now, what things like business analysis and project management do is they give you a set of tools and techniques that can support you in that kind of situation. So business analysis is a set of techniques for eliciting requirements from business users so that you're not just thinking, oh, what can Salesforce do? You're constantly coming back to focusing on what is it that the organization needs? What do we need in terms of information flows? What do we need in terms of requirements? And it gives you a set of tools for documenting those requirements so that they can be sense checked and agreed with your colleagues, your internal customers. And then those processes and documentation of requirements can also be used to train colleagues and have a set of sort of business rules about how the new areas of the system are going to be used going forward. Similarly, project management, we are all in a situation where you can't take an infinite amount of time to you haven't just got as long as you've got to do a piece of work. So it's necessary, as well as documenting requirements, to be able to know how to estimate how long those requirements are going to take to build, and then to prioritize them, so that as you're building, you can understand which are the most important requirements in terms of meeting a business need, but also as the build happens, as you're following through on this implementation, you can keep iterating and coming back to these requirements, reprioritizing them if necessary, always understanding that understanding that prioritization from the point of view of what your organization really needs. So these sorts of skills, along with change management, I haven't talked about, but I've probably run out of time, are really useful for internal Salesforce admins working within charities. And I would definitely say that they would give you a lot of additional some tools and techniques, but also additional confidence in undertaking those sorts of implementation projects within your organization.